talked about in the last committee meeting.
All right, evening, everybody. As is our custom, we will start by having everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing for Reverend Chuck Merriman, who is the Family Life Minister at the Bella Vista Lutheran Church.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Dear Heavenly Father, we pray that you will watch over the leaders in our community here in this room. Give them wisdom, give them peace, and the ability to discern what is right and what is wrong. We pray that you will help them to work together as one, utilizing each of their gifts and abilities to the benefit of your kingdom as they set out to make a better place for all of your people of Bella Vista. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Let the fun and work begin.
Thank you. All right, we'll proceed with the approval of minutes. First, the May 11th, 2017 Board Work Session meeting. I hear a motion.
So move.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Passes. May 18th, 2017 Board of Directors regular meeting. I hear a motion.
So move.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, and we'll turn it over to Tom then.
Normally, for the celebrating success, we always bring up an employee to recognize their efforts on how they went above and beyond the call of duty to make our experience here that much better. But we're going to throw you for a loop, and we're going to do it a little bit different this time. We're going to recognize Ruth Hatcher. We're pulling together. Come on, Ruth.
You weren't expecting that, Ruth?
Ruth pulled together 208 volunteers and made it a significant event. It was a fantastic event, one of the best organized ever. And we wanted to congratulate her and present her with this nice bouquet of flowers. And also, not everybody is aware of this, but I have a stack of these, and these are ice cream cards. They're $5 cards, and anytime I see an employee do a great job, I give them an ice cream card because it always puts a smile on their face. And Ruth has been giving me a hard time for months and months that I have never bought her ice cream.
And that's my favorite place.
But the event would not have been a success without your efforts, and we thank you so much.
Your event and your volunteers, the whole program is only good as your volunteers. And I can't express enough thank you to each and every one of them who stepped up no matter what they were asked to do and came and did exactly what they were supposed to do, when they were supposed to be there, etc., and made it a success. But not only that, they all want to come back next year.
We do?
The worst mistake you'll ever make is go fishing. Okay, transitioning to the income statement. This is year-to-date through May 2017. We're starting with the POA, and these are in thousands of dollars. Start with the income section. Looking at the variances on this report, major variances, past due collections are better than budget by $243,000. 207 of that is due to our legal team, the balance to accounting. Investment income is better by $213,000 over what we had budgeted. Market adjustments, $201,000, a large number. Realized above 12. Donations received, we had this last month. The Walton Family Foundation on the Metfield Skills Park, value of $170,000, and also Fly Tires donation of $10 made it $180 better than budget. Golf was down year-to-date, 103,000, and a lot of that is due to our floods that we had with our golf courses and a lot of rounds not being played. Looking at the same revenue, but this time against prior year numbers, past due collections are also high here, 316 better than prior year. Legal again, 232,000, accounting 84. Donations received, same number, 180. Assessments were down 204, but some of that is kind of misleading because we broke the past due collections out of this number, so when you add that plus that, it would really be better. But by a line item, it was less than budget, just due to the fact that we're recognizing the revenue in a different classification. Looking at the expense section, this is the POA again. 5 months running, maintenance and repairs are better than budget, better than budget by 280,000, due to all kinds of savings across the divisions year to date. Employee benefits are better by 238. We've seen this trend all year due to our savings in our health insurance plan and also payroll taxes. Salaries and wages are better by 207 due to open positions and planned savings across divisions. Equipment and tools better by 93. Small equipment purchases all across divisions. Looking at the same operating expense against prior year numbers, employee benefits are also better here by 227,000, mainly health insurance again. Bad debts are better by 114 due to our collection efforts. We've got a collection team that's really doing a good job in legal and accounting both. And salaries and wages are higher by 222, just the fact that we budgeted more people in the current year than prior year. Looking at the EBITDA around here stands for earnings before income taxes, depreciation, and allocations. EBITDA is better by 1.4 million, and the way that's broken down is right here. You can see by different departments, divisions, how that works. Food and beverage has a high negative, 146. A lot of that primarily is due to the fact that we were delayed in opening. We had budgeted to open early, and we didn't have the sales that we had budgeted for. You can see the other numbers, and legal again has the high collections efforts, and you can see that in their number. But overall, that's how it's made up by that 1.4. Moving on down to the simple cash flow. Actual simple cash flow, POA, year-to-date, 5 months running, May 17. Actual is 1.7 million against budgeted of 180,000 against prior year of 1,021,000. We're doing very well, people. Looking at the water utility, same 5 months, starting with the income. Looking at our variances, there's 2 variances here. Investment income is better by 80, and that's due to market again, like it was on the POA side. Water capital buy-in fees, due to all of our building permits, we've got more people building. We've got 65,000 better in that class. Looking at the prior year, there's one number, capital buy-in fee. Again, the building permits are up, 52,000 against prior year this same time, 5 months running. Looking at the expense section of the water utility, some variances here. Salaries and wages are better by 40,000. Vacant positions, unfilled positions. Employee benefits, again, 40,000. Health insurance and payroll taxes. And maintenance and repair are better by 28 due to system repairs that we had budgeted and haven't spent. Looking at the same expenses against prior year comparison, employee benefits are better by 30,000. Again, health insurance. Maintenance and repairs, better by 30, systems repairs. Maintenance and service agreements are higher by 26 due to some service contracts that we didn't have in prior year. And lease rents and licenses are higher by 27 due to rent expense that the water utility is paying. Looking at the EBITDA for water, 242,000 better than budget. And that brings us to simple cash flow, 168,000 actual. Budgeted 34,000 against prior year 308,000. That concludes my report. Any questions?
All right. Response to previous open forum comments. Last month, we had quite extensive open forum comments. Lasted for some time. They were all on 2 topics. The first was the purchase of the parcels from Cooper Communities. And it's apparent to us that despite what we thought was good explanation and Tom doing his coffee and questions, some people couldn't go to coffee and questions, and there continue to be an awful lot of misunderstandings and misinformation about this topic. So a lot of misinformation about what alternative buyers might have as a business proposition if they were to purchase the property rather than Property Owners Association purchasing it. So what we've done is Tom is putting together a written documentation with all those facts for people so that you can have one thing in front of you and actually understand the process and I think you'll understand why we did what we did. I think what you will see is the actual facts of the options that were presented to us, the different directions that could be taken, the timing through all of this, and in the end, management especially did a tremendous amount of work in negotiating an agreement. And then upon seeing all those options and the board knowing that we do what is in the best interest of all of our property owners, voted unanimously to approve that. But still, there have been misunderstandings and things written for people who don't have all the information, so Tom will put that together. I just saw it drafted today, and that will be published for everyone to be able to read. Anything to add to that, Tom?
I have already spoken with the Weekly Vista, and they have agreed to publish it, so you will see it in next Wednesday's paper.
Good. Second topic that was even longer was the whole topic of Burksdale. So this challenge of our valley is clearly the biggest challenge this board faces over the next year, in my view. I think it's obvious to us now that our valley the dynamics of the water flow in our valley have changed in a permanent way. It certainly does not function as it did at one time. So what we are doing is going to address this and thinking more in terms of the long-term future. What is the future of Bella Vista and our valley and our amenities throughout the community in our valley? And in the long term, what is that going to be? How can we assure that we have high-quality golf courses, other recreational amenities, attractive common areas for the overall best interest of Bella Vista? We are not interested in doing what we've done for so long, which is to try to put a Band-Aid on each time this happens and then have it be just a continuous source of concern. So two things. One is, I'm just going to read this for you. I've announced a special Valley task force. Our documents allow the chairman to do that with a special task force with a specific task and a specific time for completion. So this is to the board. It says a special Valley task force has been formed to address the challenges we continue to face with the chronic flooding of our valley golf courses. This task force will be charged with identifying and developing a long-term vision and strategy for the land currently encompassing the Burksdale, Kingswood, and Country Club golf courses. The job of this Valley Task Force will be considered complete upon the approval by the POA Board of Directors of a detailed strategic plan. This is anticipated to be a lengthy process, requiring many activities and involving input from many sources. The purpose will be to assure high-quality, sustainable golf, other recreational amenities, and highly attractive common areas in Bella Vista. The task force will have two standing members, our Chief Operating Officer, Tom Judson, and our board member, Jim Abramson, because of all his vast experience in the original development of that valley and those kinds of details. They will share overall responsibility for the completion of this task. Tom and Jim will have discretion in bringing in additional members, enlisting specific expertise, and soliciting ideas and solutions from knowledgeable sources as the many aspects of this challenge are identified and implemented. Tom and Jim will report regularly to the board on their progress. So I guess the message is, let's be patient. I know they've already started things. They are talking to companies to do hydrology studies. I know people come to me all the time saying, I know you've already made up your mind on this or this. The fact is, none of that is true. We have no idea what this is going to show us, but what we are going to do is evaluate all options that we can to make sure we continue to provide high-quality amenities for people in Bella Vista, and that will take some time. In the meantime, as you know, we will be opening shortly 9 holes of the Burksdale Golf Course that we feel are safe and playable, and so people will be able to do that as a 9-hole golf course or play it twice as an 18-hole golf course so that that's available while we're working through this process. Anything else to add on that, Tom or Jim?
Just one comment. We are getting proposals from some real qualified hydrology companies and also have civil engineering capabilities as well. And we probably will select a firm here within a month to start the phase 1 of the study, which would be look at the current data regarding the flood situation of the entire valley, and then we'll develop action plans from that.
Very good.
I mean, I think also, we don't know who all might have an interest in this. We know that the highway was almost underwater on this last one. I mean, and keeping in mind, this is a flood, we had 7 inches one weekend and 5 inches another weekend. That's roughly half what they had, for example, in Columbia, South Carolina, a year or so ago, in less than a week. These are not even enormous floods going on now, so I don't know if the highway department will be looking. There may be an awful lot of people that we talk to say, how can we make sure this valley functions as a very attractive place for us and not just a constant source of worry and money having to go into it. So I think that answers those two questions the best we can. Pat, you have something to add?
Will you be preparing a budget, a projected budget for the work of this committee? Will that budget be approved then by the board of directors?
Yeah, so right now, what we're doing is we've spoken with 3 different hydrology engineering companies, and we have asked all of them to submit a bid. Once we are to a point where we feel that we have received all the bids, and we're going to bring forth to the board a recommendation on the bid that we feel that we should accept, that will require a vote of the board to approve and to allocate the funds to move forward with the phase 1 study.
Are you expecting any other significant expenses to accrue, in addition to that hydrology study?
I think what we want to do is make sure we take it one step at a time and do the study first. And that's why we're getting all the bids in right now.
Okay.
So I don't know if I can answer that question right now, other than any expenditure of funds will require a vote of the board.
Yeah, but and I can understand that.
And-
Once those bids are received, then that will also give you direction in terms of other things.
Well, not once the bid's received, but once we select
Right.
and they do a phase 1 analysis, it may lead into other directions
Okay.
that would cause board consideration of expenditure.
Okay.
And right now, we're very in-house with our expertise because we don't want to expend monies in the process of interviewing consultants. So we're using our best resource people, Mike Taggart and Keith Eames, and then David Welchel, who's a golf course architect, who happens to live here in the community, and he's also on the golf committee. So we'll add other resource people as needed.
So this is the way we would intend for it to function. They have already, there are 2 standing members. They will be there for the entire process, and they bring in expertise as they need it. So already there are 3 more acting members on this to gather the first part. I guess I would ask everyone in the community to follow the information and the data as it leads us. It's very easy to say, oh, we want to make sure we maintain Burksdale and Kingswood exactly as they are, or, well, we want to make sure that we have Kingswood but not Burksdale, or we want to make sure we say, or any of these kind of things. What I would suggest is let's make sure we know what the information in the data show us in terms of what is possible, and then start making formulating the best strategies around that, and that's when those things will come along in terms of what are the possible strategies, what are the costs to determine the feasibility of those strategies, and how do we move forward.
Okay.
And to reiterate what Ron said earlier is we will seek input from the community before any final decision has been made.
Sure, of course. All right, if there are no more comments on that, then open forum. If anybody would like to address the board or has a concern or issue, please step forward to the microphone.
Hello, I'm Debbie Sorensen, and Ruth, I want to thank you
Thank
for all
you.
your work, you bet.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Just no more brats.
Yeah, ditto.
Okay.
They were great, but 4 days in a row is a little much. Anyway, I noticed on the agenda tonight that the Highlands Golf Course renovation is going to be discussed and voted on. And I'm really here to represent the card players in Bella Vista. I just recently, on Monday, learned that the Highlands is open now for card playing, and I was not aware of that. I did not see a final approval of that. And since we've lost so many of the areas in the card playing, I was hoping to be able to communicate the fact that the Highlands is now open. My concern is that the area that we're talking about, if you guys vote to close the Highlands now for the renovation, what's going to happen with the card room?
So Debbie, I was actually going to give you a call tomorrow because you're a great resource for the community. And what I was going to ask you to do is to bring together some representatives of the card group. Because we want to sit down and kind of present, we have a little bit of a challenging situation. We want to give you an honest assessment of what that situation is, and then and have you help us make a good, wise decision. And I'm, you know, right now we are open, but according to the last conversation the two of us had, you didn't want to move your group over until we had food. Well, we just now have the approval for food. So there were certain groups that were using the card room before we had food, but I was under the impression you wanted to wait until we had food.
Well, I mean, I would just like to communicate to say it's open.
So what I wanted to do was, I'm available tomorrow, or if it's going to take a couple days to get people together, maybe we could meet on Monday. But it's not kind of a cut and dry situation. I wanted to present all the challenges because if the board decides to close for renovation, then it's going to be a very labor-intensive thing. Not horribly labor-intensive, but it's going to cost us money to maintain it open
right.
for a
Is it
limited
worth it?
group.
Yeah.
Is it worth it?
No, I-
Or, you know, so, and I was
Well,
very honest.
obviously, I'm
you know,
alone
you know,
tonight, too.
And I was, and
I
was,
mean, I sent
you know,
the email out.
right,
so-
and I was very honest with the
Yeah.
board. It's kind of a no-win situation. It's either you disappoint the card players, and that's a customer service situation, or you expend additional labor dollars that I would rather not do. But I'm open-minded, and the board has given us full license, so I'd like to sit down and with the group, and quite honestly, whatever direction the group feels is the appropriate course of action, we'll do that.
Okay.
Because we know that we've already let you down because, you know, it's not on purpose, but it took us a while longer than we had anticipated to open up for a number of reasons, you know, and I can go into that next week, but we've already let you down to a certain extent, and so I wanted to I'd rather explain the whole situation and us make a logical decision together.
Oh, I totally agree, and I guess what needs to be clear is we need to communicate it.
Well, and then once we make that determination, then we're going to go out and communicate to everybody.
And if it's not going to be open for 4 months, then let's say it's not going to be open for 4 months.
So let's do this, is if
I will get back in touch.
you let me know, and then I'll make room, I'll accommodate you, and we'll sit down, and we'll, you know, bring as many people
And if
as
I
you
can't
want.
get a group of people together, then it's a non-issue.
Then it's a non-issue.
Then it's a
But I value your input,
Yeah.
and so and this was actually Pat's plan, so I didn't want to steal your thunder. This was Pat's idea to get your input.
Okay, thank you.
Your
Maybe-
input and the input of the other card players.
One other thing, Debbie, and for everybody as well, and back on a little bit of my theme of the long term, this is not nearly that long term, but the board is going to vote this evening whether we go ahead and do work on Highlands, in which we would improve the collars and
Correct.
the sand traps. So if we did that, that would mean the golf course is closed from the middle of June through middle to end of September,
Yes.
8 to 10 weeks. So what we're going to assure everyone is that before September's over, by the end of September, we're going to have a golf course back open, a very attractive facility with nice assortment of food, a bar, you know, energetic, people will be there and using it, a great opening for all of that. So the question is then, but if we do vote for that, and the vote hasn't happened yet, what do we do in that interim time of middle of June to then? To
Correct.
middle, and so we want to talk to you and see, understanding that it would be impractical to have a really big full menu like we are going to have in September, but what would exactly you like to have, or would, you know, have it in a limited way, or what's the best solution
Or
to
even,
serve?
I mean, a menu,
I mean-
I don't think the menu is necessarily the issue.
Yeah.
I mean, is the building going to be open or what?
Yeah.
So Tom will address it.
Perfect.
And,
Yeah.
and like I say, if
Yeah.
I can't get a group together, it's a non-issue.
And we
Well,
hope
then
everybody.
The two of us will make the decision.
We hope everybody understands that's, you know, it's inconvenient as we're trying to make improvements and, you know, get to something that we know we're all gonna enjoy.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, anybody else? All right, on to the Joint Advisory Committee reports then. Lakes?
We don't have a representative of the Lakes Committee, so we're going to have Rick step forward and give the Lakes report.
I guess I'm just going to wing it, but that's all right. I guess we could describe the last month as being can you hear?
Yeah.
As being a time of special events. We've had 3 kayak events here at Bella Vista on the lakes. We had our demo days, in which we had a vendor come out and demonstrate and allow residents and guests to demonstrate kayaks on Lake Avalon. They sold approximately 50 or more sales. I guess they're still coming in, and so that should get us some income through registrations. We're also talking about the potential to have this vendor provide us with up to date models for rental at the marina, and possibly at the beach when that comes to fruition. The Heroes on the Water event, there was this is a veterans event where we try to get them involved in kayak sports to kind of take their mind off of their traumatic injuries from combat. There was an issue with the transportation, and so that really didn't come off, but we're already talking about a second date to have them come down and enjoy the lakes and that. The third event was the fishing tournament that occurred on the 5 smaller lakes. That actually went off very well. The person that had the big fish, nearly a little bit over 10 pounds, actually did not register for the Big Fish Award. So it turned out a 3-pound fish won the thing. But anyway, that went off very well. That was a preliminary tournament for a national event where the payout is $100,000. We hope that the board would be amenable to having them come back for future events. That went very well. The other thing to speak about is the various special events that have been occurring at the gun range. We had the cancer shoot last week, which was a great success, a lot of participation, and there was a lot of interest in the trick shooters that were there at the trap range, and they put on a phenomenal show. So we hope to have them back in the future. Also, we have the poultry event coming up later this week. Those constitute our 2 biggest events of the summer. So that's pretty much it for the lakes update. It'll go on and
No,
back later.
We'll bring you back for a encore performance.
I would like to add one thing. The Lakes Committee did take up both of the lake drawdown issues, and the Lakes Committee was supportive of both of those issues.
Recreation?
Hello. I'm on the other side. Anyway, I wanted to let you all know that the communicative gardens this summer are very, very successful. And they've expanded some of their work. They still work with the Mercy program down by the Cooper School, but it is extremely successful, and they're hoping to expand. They've had a great team together building all of the different areas for the gardens, and they just have been very pleased. We had a Welcome Club meet and greet at Reardon. Again, this is our second one, and we had 29 new residents. It was very successful. Tom was there, Peter Christie was there, and I feel that it's a very good service that we can provide for all the new residents, and I'm just strictly doing it. The Vista is advertising it, we're putting it on social media, and so I was very happy with 29 residents. Lots of activity with the Blowing Springs RV Park and the primitive campsites. Joan reported that the primitive campsites were filled last weekend, and that 20% of them are local families trying to figure out if they can really live in a tent over the weekend. And there's some successes and some not. But anyway, it's very successful. The tennis has been extremely busy this summer and very successful. And the flowers outside of Reardon got planted this week. I saw on social media people were bitching about the fact there weren't any flowers, and hopefully now they'll say what beautiful flowers there are, because they really did a nice job. Lastly, the flood damage on the back 40 has exceeded the monetary estimate for the year, and that Joan definitely said it may cause a budget shortfall because of all the rain and all the damage from the flooding. So, and the last thing, am I correct to say that the kayak event drew 500 people?
I'm sorry, 550.
550, I mean, that's a lot of people. So, and maybe next year we can get a percentage of sales. Just thought I'd mention.
Deb,
Anyway, that's it.
Deb, the 550 were people that registered to test drive a kayak. There were
So there were more people?
There were actually more people there than that.
Thanks, Deb. You want to do golf too, or should we let Tom do that one? Tom, golf, are you doing it?
I guess for the record, my name's Tom Stevens. I'm the outgoing chairman of the golf committee. Our meeting was last night, so we don't have minutes yet. This will be the first time Susan hasn't gotten to me in time. But she has a reason. It was last night, so. We had a good meeting. Basically, the points of interest that come out of it, most of it, the board members and the people in this room already know what went on in that meeting because most of you were there, or it's in your packets, or you voted on it, or will vote on it later on this evening from a standpoint. Some of the things that are going on, the junior golf program in Bella Vista seems to be just flourishing greatly. Daryl gave a great report on that. Lots of tournaments. The Bella Vista team went and played Shadow Valley's team at Shadow Valley, and I think I don't know if it's next week or next month, we're hosting Pinnacle at Highlands. So there's a reason that they're not going to Pinnacle. It's called an LPGA Tour event, so it's being done at Highlands here next week. And they've had some other teaching classes and various things that are going on that are being very successful, and they're having fun. Bella Vista Country Club, Philip, I think, or Daryl, you, or Keith, I mean, you said 14 is now open, is that correct? And number 8 will be reopened in July, some point in time in July. So that will get the country club back to full, and we will no longer have to play 14 as a 96-yard par 3 and screw up the course rating and various other things that go along with it. So the pump station is back in service at the country club. That was a major downfall for them from the flooding, so that is now done. So basically, the country club getting close to being back to full capacity, which would be nice to have. All the courses are in good shape. Some of them are better than others, as it always does, but they're all in really good shape right now, considering the flooding that has occurred, the rocks that are various places. The Scottsdale and Bella Vista Country Club will be rated by the USGA in July. Correct? We have been fighting with the Arkansas State Golf Association for almost a year now to try and get our golf courses re-rated because most of them are not accurate. So, and the ASGA disbanded their rating team, and so we have not been able to get one. And Philip has been promised by the USGA they will bring their national team in to rate 2 of our courses. So that will be coming up soon. The USGA agronomist will be on site August 9th. I would recommend any of you that have interest in how we grow grass or how we should grow grass or what goes on from that standpoint, you attend his session during the daytime, and then he will also have a presentation that evening at the golf committee meeting. So that would be a good point for all of you to come to. And as far as tournaments go, we've probably had, since the last meeting, we've probably had one each and every other day. So they're numerous to present. The APT tournament, and Ruth, I do want to personally thank you because you did a great job.
Thank you.
And I think we all know that.
It's time to retire.
Welcome to my world. But we've done that. We've had a few other tournaments that have gone on. I know the Cancer Challenge I participated in and the Men and Women's Senior Open I participated in were both well attended and well run. I think the Rally for the Cure, which came 3 days later after the Cancer Challenge, was also a success. So the tournaments are successful. There are a lot of them, and it does take a lot of time from golf operations to deal with that. So that's pretty much my report. It's the other subject matters that came up you will be discussing or have already discussed.
Thanks, Tom.
Anybody got a question? Normally, the answer is no, so good night.
Appreciate it. Andrew, you have something from the young residents?
I'll just give you an update. We have a tailgating and fireflies event on. We have a tailgating and fireflies event on the 24th at 6 o'clock at Blowing Springs. We appreciate the Jones team in supporting us in that, in providing hot dogs. And I'm not sure all the details. I missed the meeting. I was traveling for work to the meeting where they planned some of the details, but it sounds like it's going to be a great event. And there's been a lot of interest shown on Facebook as people as it's been advertised. So we're hoping that goes off with a bang. We have we're finally getting formal. We have more people coming. We had about 8 people. I expect there'll be about 8 people at the next meeting, and we're going to have votes to formalize our committee with a chairman and secretary and those types of things that we haven't been doing at all. And with that, one of the things that I think has come from our committee, and this maybe it's more to come, but we've been talking about what our purpose is, and we feel like as a young residents committee, we're by default of that alienating people, and we don't want to do that. That's one of the things I think our community has a big problem with is segregating everybody. And we've talked about being a more, this is going to be more will come from this, but together, bring the community together committee where there's activities like the fireflies and tailgates where we had questions. Do you have to be young to go to this? And that's not the purpose of our committee. So I think over time there'll probably be some evolution that we come to you and ask for your support and how we evolve and adapt the committee to help bring the community together. I think those are all the things that we've been discussing. I think there's getting more traction, and it's kind of been hard to get it started, but I think we're headed in the right direction.
And of course, the immediate problem to solve, which is, do we put the microphone at Debbie height or do we put it at Andrew height? I don't know. We'll figure that out, but that's one thing maybe we can solve by the next meeting, okay? Great, thanks, Andrew. Old business.
No old business.
Old business?
Under new business, I'm going to have Rick come up and make his report This is item 10 on your board packet. On page 54 is the recommendation regarding the lowering of Lake Avalon and Loch Lomond this winter.
And we've got 2 for deb height, okay? The first thing we want to look at, what we want to do is we want to make this whole process as easy for the residents as we can that are affected, both positively and negatively by this drawdown. The top of page 1, you see I've got listed the various permits that are required for people doing work on the lake. The permit for common property through the POA. I put that we'll have a response time within 30 days. I expect that to be much quicker than that. Then we've got the Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality, the short-term authorization. That's the one that could potentially get someone in the most trouble if they don't have that one. And that's got the longest lead time, a 60-day lead time. So that makes this whole process necessary to get started as quickly as possible. The bottom 2, one from the Architectural Control Committee and the other from the City of Bella Vista, I've been told by both offices that they can get approval next day. So then we're going to talk about Lake Avalon, the drawdown there. The main purpose of that, of course, is to provide for the construction of the beach. We feel like we need to drop it by 4 feet. The duration we'll start dropping in early November, try to get it down by the end of the month, and hold it at that level until February 15th. That'll give us enough time to get our work done, provide residents time to work on their personal property. There is a bit of dredging that we would do, that the POA would do around the boat launch. That's something that's happened recently in the last 2 floods. We're required to use siphon tubes or pipes to get the lake down. There's no permanent infrastructure in place for that. It's been done that way in the past, and it does work. And we're able to lower the lake 2 inches a day unless we have a serious rain event, which is always possible. The next project would be Loch Lomond. The main purpose behind that would be as a way to allow residents to do work on their docks and seawalls as sort of a concession for the quick drawdown that occurred last winter. Again, a 4-foot drawdown. I don't have experience with lowering Loch Lomond that much, but I've been told that 4 feet does not require any adjustments to the marina docks. So that's important to keep it 4 feet or less. There's some additional repair work that we would do with the lake being down. There's some spalling of the concrete overflow in the spillway that needs to be repaired, and some cracks that have appeared that need to be fixed too. We've got some dredging that needs to occur at Granton and Tyree, and also at Stony Kirk. And then there are some other larger projects that residents are talking about pooling their money and making an application to do some of their own dredging.
So if
That's
this,
it in a nutshell.
So if this plan was approved by the board of directors, what we would do is we would first send out all this documentation via e-blast to all our members, and we'd also have it available on our website. And by making the decision at this time, it gives our property owners a tremendous amount of time, advanced lead time, so that they can secure, if they're going to do work, they can secure a contractor to get the job done. And as Rick has indicated, he's gone through and he's made it easier on our property owners and lined out what permits they need to have and so forth to make it as easy as possible.
Additionally, I am putting together a list of contractors that do this kind of work. It will by no means be an endorsement for anybody, but it will help people find someone, hopefully.
A question that wasn't answered at the Lake Committee, will the lakes be closed to boat traffic during the drawdown?
No, but the ramps will likely be unusable. One more thing that I think it would be nice, we should get an answer to, is I believe the city has an ordinance against parking boats at homes. Not sure about that, but if that's the case, I would like to seek a variance for that during that time. We're going to offer slip mooring at the marina again, but I would hope that we would be able to have our residents park their boats on trailers at their homes for those couple months.
Okay, if we can get a motion and a second, then we'll open it up for discussion before having any kind of vote. Anybody can ask any other questions then. So do I hear a motion on this proposal?
I move we approve the drawdown of Lake Avalon and Lake Loch Lomond as specified in the plans.
Here a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so now open for discussion. Any board members, any other questions? Pat?
I don't know why I didn't think about this before, and I'm sure I'm sure you've already considered this. Since both lakes will be drawn down at the same time, is there any danger, or is there any consequence of that we need to be aware of?
My biggest concern was that we would, having them both down at the same time, could we get the work done in a reasonable amount of time? I've been assured from Mike Taggart and Kirk Allman that we would be able to do that.
Okay, but there's no there's no danger or any consequence for the drawing down of that much water?
No,
Okay,
no.
okay.
Do you feel there's significant enough workers, or people who do that type of work to do the job here?
If we're not overloaded somewhere else.
But I mean, people coming in from private boat docks and things of that nature.
I can't say for sure, but
And that's part of the reason why we want to give people advance notice, so that it gives them time to locate a qualified contractor.
And contractors can go from job to job in the same areas too.
Right, and by stating it so far in advance of when we're going to go down, when we're going to start coming back up, it gives them that game plan and so forth.
Ruth,
I'm going to go to the city offices and check for previous permits for work and try to find contractors. And then I'll provide a list for residents.
there is a pretty limited pool here, but because it's winter, there are a lot of these guys over on Grand Lake, which is really only 30 miles away. Yeah, hopefully.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on the topic? All right, all those in favor of proceeding? Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
The next one, we'll have a presentation too, I think probably by Keith on Highlands, maybe by way of just introduction on that one as well. I think just sort of part of continuing to manage the best we can in an imperfect world, particularly with the flooding that we've had on our golf courses. Within this one, what's going to be proposed is moving forward about $300,000 that we had initially, we had in our planned budgeting to do next year, 2018, moving that forward into 2017 at the Highlands to do work on the collars, the bunkers, and the cart paths. Several reasons for that. One being to try to make sure that we do have good, high-quality golf courses, and the ones that don't flood, or at least the flooding is limited. And certainly that golf course had some damage from flooding on cart paths, but primarily what we've seen is just through general weather, some real problem with the bunkers and the collars. Secondly, of course, for the pro golf tournament, to make sure we have a golf course that's a true championship test of golf and gives us a very good image on that. We're certainly well known for our volunteers, and I think we need to be well known too for our golf course. So that's what we're basically trying to do. We understand that as we do these things, that it is inconvenient for some people. We already talked about the inconvenience for those who would like to use the clubhouse fully open quicker. Also, some inconvenience for golfers during that 8 to 10 weeks. So we have opened up the 9 holes of Burksdale, but certainly there may be some time when we're not as easily able to get a tee time as quickly and easily as we've all gotten used to. So anyway, that's what's going to be there, and I think we start then with Keith to review this for us. Thanks. Right here.
Okay, the proposal that I have presented for funding, you mentioned 3 items there: collars, bunkers, and cart paths. The cart path money is actually in 2017. The reason it's mentioned in this proposal, because it makes sense to do it while we're closed if you determine we want to close to do this work. The collars are, over time, have deteriorated, will continue to do so. We patched them last year. The areas we patched did not survive this year. We could go out and repatch again now and maybe have the same results next year. That's one reason I think this is an opportunity to correct that. It will be work similar to what the collar work was done at Scottsdale. If you played Scottsdale, those collars are really pretty darn good. It's the exact same process, same turf. So that's the first thing. If you decide to do collars, or if you decided to do bunkers, either one of them, it only makes sense to do both. The bunker project is the second part. That was budgeted in 2018. It'd be the exact same kind of work here as Country Club. It is not going to have stack wall. It will be like Country Club bunkers, exactly, which performed very well for us, even through the flood, the ones that went underwater, which was not a concern at Highlands necessarily. And that one is really an easier for me to attempt to sell, for the fact that that one absolutely saves us money on not having to throw sand, having the golf course playable more consistently, not have the rocks, all the other issues we've had. I have 3 bids that are on this proposal. Jones Plan, who did the collar work at Scottsdale; Mid-America Golf, who I've worked with before and David Welchel recommended; and Professional Golf Services, who is the company that just completed the work at number 8 at Country Club. And they did a great job there. They sodded a green and did a collar there exactly like we're talking about doing at Highlands. I was hoping that Professional Golf Service would be the low bid, because I feel very confident in the quality of the work and their ability, having talked to them, to have multiple crews here to speed up the work. They have told me that they can get the job done in 5 weeks. And I believe that's true, because they told me they could get number 8 green done in 5 days, and they finished it in 3. So they're very good, very professional, and do a top-notch job. So that is my proposal.
And to clarify, the golf course, we would close it July 10th. We would reopen by the end of September. We're quoting the end of September just to be conservative, but we actually think we might be able to get open by mid-September.
All right.
And to add to that, Keith, the reason why we want to do it now, if we do, versus winter, is the type of grass that composes the collars. It's Bermuda grass, and its growing season is the summer months.
That is correct. You have to do collar work in the growing season. You could do bunkers in the winter, but the turf needs to be done between June and the middle of September.
All right, again, if we could get a motion and a second, then we'll open it up for discussion with the whole board.
I make a motion that we spend $293,497 for renovation of the collars and bunkers at Highlands Golf Course, with the funds coming from unallocated reserves since it is an unbudgeted project. Highlands Golf Course will be closed from July 10th through the end of September.
You hear a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, and open up then for discussion.
Yes, Ruth?
Keith, in any way, if we decided to do only the collars, the bunkers and cart paths, or I should reverse that, the collars or bunkers and cart paths aren't going to extend the time that it's going to be closed if we do those.
No.
So there will be while the grass is growing in.
Yes.
It's going to be closed for the collars no matter what else we do.
The plan is they're going to send their first crew. We'll start working on the collars. We've told them they had to have all the sod down on every hole by August 15th. Once they get the second crew here on week number 2, that crew will start on the bunkers behind them, and they will finish about the same time, both parts.
And if we elect not to do it on a temporary basis, we have no insurance of the grass holding as it didn't this year.
On the collars, that would be correct.
Maybe one other thing I didn't mention before, too, that we want to discuss, as well as the issues with Debbie, is the practice area out there. It's one of 2 ranges that we have, and it's the only short game facility that we have. So looking at whether we can keep that open and available to people. But also, we do have plans, I believe that by that time, the one at Scottsdale will now be, it's smaller and doesn't have everything there, but that would be open and help accommodate that as well, right?
That's correct. The sod's going down on the new front part of Scottsdale on Wednesday. And then within a week after we've started turning the water back, we can start using that range on the back tee. And within 2 or 3 weeks, we could start on the front portion of the tee. And I think Philip knows that the machine is coming. I talked to Mike Tiger today. Our electric is set, and they're getting organized on the building. However, I believe the machine can be placed without the building because it's an all-weather machine. Correct, Philip?
That's correct. It is an all-weather machine.
All right, Pat?
I was just curious, why is the low bid, which is nice, but why is that, I'm sorry, I was just wondering, why is the low bid 25% less than the high bid? I mean, can you give us some?
My experience with contractors are 2 things. One, they're finishing up projects and they need work, so they're more competitive in their bid. And some people are not interested in the type of work we're doing, so they don't really make a strong effort in their bid. That's my past experience. I know for a fact that professional service, the one that had the low bid, is coming off of 2 projects, so it doesn't serve them well not to have those people working, and they're willing to work with us at a reduced rate, possibly, and we know they do quality work. And the other thing we have working for us here, we have 6 golf courses and other work coming up, so they like to be associated with us.
Good, good. Thank you very much.
Can I also put on the table the fact, Philip, you may have to answer this. Closing Highlands, is this going to be a hardship on the golfers being able to get on other courses, or will there be plenty of room on other courses in order to accommodate them?
I mean, it will be a challenge during that time. Obviously, going from the quantity of golf courses we have now, losing 1, it is temporary. Will we have open tee times even after this is closed? We will still have open tee times. The majority of the players may or may not get the preferred tee times they want, but we will have availability for them to play at certain times during that day.
So we still have the opportunity to grow golf.
We do.
I have a question. Can we get probably Keith, can you give us a little bit of the agronomy, why these collars need to be replaced?
Yes, sir. Over time, in the maintenance of the green and the top dressing and the brushing in of the sand, it has been, a lot of sand gets pulled out on the collars, so the collars are not level. It causes a dam. The collars are higher than the green, so there's a drainage issue. The other areas we're seeing turf that's not making it is by bunkers, where a lot of sand gets knocked out. The issue from an agronomic standpoint is high sand content in this climate. When it gets cold in the winter, you get direct winter kill. We had the same thing at Scottsdale, and when we took everything down, we got down to the base soil, and it performed well. We did some core samples on number 11, right behind the shop there. That was some of the worst damage, and there was about 5 inches of sand that had been built up, and that will all be able to be removed and still do a good grade out, and that will protect our warm season turf from winter damage.
I just wanted that, for everybody's information, that there's a reason that this grass is having a problem, and this is gonna.
Yes, and the other thing is, the existing turf is common Bermuda, and these new hybrids are much superior in playability and survival.
Is this something that we can anticipate on other courses as we go down the years?
I hope so.
How long has it been since those, have they ever, the greens were built in 1982, is that right?
Mid-'80s.
The mid-'80s. Have the collars ever been redone since then?
No.
No? Okay, so in your experience, is that sort of a usual time, over time, they deteriorate to this point and have to be redone?
On areas around greens, there's usually 15 years at the most, so we are way behind the 8 ball there.
Okay. John?
Yeah, I'd like to make a small statement before we vote. When this vote comes up, I will be voting no for the proposal, not because I don't think this is a good project for the POA, but because it does not include the guarantee that we will have the clubhouse and multipurpose room open and the snack bar open for the use of some of our members.
All right, any other?
Keith, just a sidebar issue, and we've talked about it, you and I have, and that is at some point, and I don't think this has to be considered now, but if we consider it and you develop a cost estimate rather quickly, we could do remedial work on number two at Highlands, perhaps clear some trees, especially the left side, create some drainage improvements, at least one of the sides of that fairway, but that doesn't really involve timing and Bermuda versus this topic.
What I would say is the contractor who does a lot of work all over, we're going to talk about some options there because he'll be on site. I'm sure when we do construction, we'll get rain, so we'll see what happens on that hole when it rains and have some ideas. I would say that project is a little bit more intense to get it correct. So if you were asking me, could something be done while they're here? My answer to that would be probably not in our best interest.
And if it's not a huge costly venture, though, I would recommend perhaps we just take it out of Tom Judson's budget. So
I'll second the motion.
We'll take it out of the pay, we'll take it out of the board members' pay. So, all right, any other discussion? If not, all those in favor? All opposed? 6-2, motion passes.
Greg Jones, thanks you.
Okay. Other new business, formation of the Valley Task Force. I did that already a little bit earlier, seemed more appropriate there. Board member committee assignments, tried to accommodate what everybody wanted. The new golf committee will be Ruth Hatcher and Bruce Portillo will be on that one. Lakes, John Nuttall and David Brandenburg. Recreation, John Nuttall, Pat Laurie, Joshua Hart. Young Residents, John Nuttall, David Brandenburg. Audit Committee, Bruce Portillo, Joshua Hart, and myself. Marketing Committee, John Nuttall, Jim Abramson, and Ruth Hatcher. Rules and Regulations Committee, Pat Laurie and myself, and of course the new Valley Task Force that Jim Abramson will be a standing member on that one.
And all these assignments will be posted to the website.
Yes?
We do need another person to be nominated for, or to be named for Rules and Regulations Committee so that we can have an odd number of people on that committee.
Okay.
And
No,
Ron, if you're okay that, I would volunteer myself.
Okay.
Because I've been on it the last year, and I'm fairly well versed in Pat's tactics.
We're gonna, when somebody, when somebody volunteers, we jump on it right away. Jim, you're in. So, okay. One last announcement here, and that is Andrew Davis decided to resign from the board. You know, Andrew has a business and a young family, and he was just finding that the time commitment for this was very, very difficult. So we want to thank Andrew for his service. I think he, in particular, did a great job in helping set up the Young Residents committee and pushing that. He did a great job representing the interests of the younger residents and many others. He was influential and helped support the beach at Lake Avalon, so I think he certainly had accomplishments, and we appreciate him serving, and we understand how difficult. I can remember having young kids and a full-time job. So we will move forward to appoint an interim director to fill the vacancy, and that term will run until the next election in 2018. So we will do as we've done in the past, in that we're asking that anybody interested to submit a resume to Kindle, and the information on how to do that is on the website, or you can call Kindle. If you have any questions, resumes must be submitted by June 30th, and we plan to do interviews of those interested on July the 6th. The next COO board meeting will be on Thursday, July the 6th at 2:30 p.m. in the Country Club. That is the once-a-month closed discussion meeting with the COO. The next Board of Directors work session will be Thursday, July 13th at 8 a.m. in the Country Club meeting room, and the Board of Directors regular meeting on Thursday, July 20th at 6:30 p.m. right here again. And with that, we're adjourned.